Hello, welcome to Unfiltered Opinion. This is me, Dr. Sidharth Arora. I'm a practicing advocate in the Supreme Court of India and I'm polity educator for Unacademy. I have several questions from IAS aspirants and I'd like to give my opinion on these answers, on these queries for students. So let us see the first question over here. The first question over here is UPSC not for average people? This is absolutely an emphatic no. First of all, there is no such requirement of becoming a genius. Only then you can be an IAS officer. There is no such requirement. Please remember, UPSC is a generalist specialist exam. What does that mean? That you have to know something about everything. You have to know something about everything. It is not about a genius. You don't have to do a PhD in this. You have to be generally aware. I hope you realize this is what civil service examination is all about. UPSC, that is why calls its exam as general studies. The word is general. Okay, you have to be aware of what is happening in polity, what is happening in geography, what is happening in history, etc. And that will be enough for you to take through this exam. The next question is UPSC civil service exam very tough? Tough is always a relative word, my friends. Okay, first of all, there is nothing called tough. I've already told you that you must be absolutely aware of, generally be aware of what is happening around you. The one word that ensures that you will make through this exam very easily, so to say, is curiosity. You must be curious of what is happening. If you are mentally not inclined towards knowing what is happening in your country or what is happening in the world, certainly the exam becomes tough, but for anyone else, it becomes a very easy exam, so to say. The next one is, what should you not read for UPSC Civil Services examination? First of all, don't read the kind of study materials that are available per kilogram. That is available at Karol Bagh and Rajendra Nagar photostat shops. They are selling those notes by XYZ faculty or XYZ topper, etc. by kilograms, literally by kilograms. Don't do that. That is not required. You have to do standard textbooks, you have to do previous year questions, and that should be sufficient. If you do those diligently, please don't unnecessarily waste your time and effort. Please remember, both your mental capacity as well as your time is a limited commodity. Use it wisely. The next query is, how important is the handwriting for UPSC exams? My friends, handwriting, nobody is asking you to write the most beautiful calligraphy that is available, but certainly it should be presentable. You're making diagrams, making flowcharts, making bullet points certainly adds to the understanding of the examiner. How you write also reflects upon how you are understanding the subject. So to that extent, yes, handwriting is important, but nobody is going to ask you to make the most beautiful calligraphy in your exams. Another question here is, why is civil services examination so difficult to crack in the first attempt? Civil services examination is based upon wisdom, my friends. That is the important part. There are many nuances to this exam. It is understood that the first attempt students do not actually understand what are the requirements. Some of them study one subject a bit too much, the other ones actually leave the entire subject. Gradually, by the first attempt, or probably by the second or the third attempt, sometimes wisdom comes according to time, sometimes, right? In those conditions, people understand what is the requirement of a particular subject, and then certainly they start calling it luck factor. There is no such rule. I have seen toppers who have topped this exam in the first attempt, and I have seen many people who even after multiple attempts have not made it. The idea is, when do you become wise? The next question is, how do you keep yourself motivated for UPSC exams? Motivation should be aim based, objective based, goal based. Just look at as an IAS officer, in somewhere between 20s and 30s, they become the kings of district. People go to them for justice, people go to them for ensuring that whatever deficiencies are there in life, a young man or a young woman has got the power as a bureaucrat to bring about a difference. Is that motivation not good enough? If that motivation that ensures that it is power, you have the courage, you have the power, you have the ability to bring about a life's difference in somebody's life, I hope you realize that should be motivation good enough. No other profession, and I say, dare say, no other profession, no other occupation gives you power at such a young age. Yes, you can become successful as a lawyer, as a doctor, etc., but it takes time. You become successful at a young age. If that is not motivation good enough, I hope then there will be no good other motivation than this one. Next is, what is the difference between a serious UPSC aspirant and a non-serious UPSC aspirant? One point is time management. A UPSC aspirant who is serious will ensure that every minute counts. Everything that he studies or he ignores takes him one step closer to Labasna in Missouri. If a non-serious aspirant, on the other hand, would waste time looking for shortcuts, looking for those methods which are so-called magical, looking for guarantees, these in God's own world, there are nothing called as shortcut, there is nothing called as magic, there is nothing called as tricks, there are nothing called as hacks. A serious aspirant knows that only if he studies diligently, only if he studies smartly, he will ensure that he will pass through this tough exam. A non-serious aspirant will waste the majority of his time looking for shortcuts. You can make out a serious and non-serious aspirant in one moment. The next question is, what are the top 3 myths about UPSC Civil Services examination? The top 3 myths are: number 1, that the first attempters cannot make it. This is absolutely not done. Second, very important myth for UPSC Civil Services examination is that there is a huge element of luck and only luck can ensure that whether I will pass this exam or not. No, my friends. A diligent, like Napoleon used to say, luck always favors the prepared mind. You have to prepare yourself. Then probably you will be unlucky not to go through this exam in the first attempt. You will make it in the next one. And the third one is that you have to study 24 hours a day, which is impossible. Okay, first of all, please remember you're a human being and the brain is an organ. You have to live a balanced life. If you don't do that, your brain will short circuit. Whatever you remember is actually going to go down the drain. So don't go and don't try to become a superhuman. On the contrast, try and become a good human. That is what is important for civil services examination. How do I know if clearing the UPSC Civil Services examination is my cup of tea or not? Very simple. I'll give you a very easy method. Do a small portion of every subject, a small portion of history, a small portion of geography, a small portion of ethics, a small portion of polity, and do the previous year questions. After 1 month, if regarding that small portion of civil services examination syllabus, if you are able to do previous year questions, only a small portion, then you will get to know that if you can assimilate a small part, you can certainly assimilate a larger part. If you can do this part, do it in the early stages of your preparation. Do only one chapter from polity, do one chapter from history, one from geography, one from ethics, and do test yourself with previous year questions. You will yourself get this answer. You will not have to ask this question to anyone else. What are the 5 habits every UPSC civil services aspirant should adopt? Number 1, you should do time management. This is the most crucial requirement. Number 2 is keep a huge balance between your health and your work and your life. This is very, very important. Number 3, generate tenacity, generate stamina. This is a long-term exam. It is not a 100-meter sprint. It is a marathon. Learn to pace yourself. Number 4, collect friends which are really friends. In other words, make friends out of wise people, make friends out of those who are like-minded people, who are equally motivated. The more you collect useless people, negative-minded people, the lesser will be the chance of you making through this examination. And last, get out of the myth that civil services examination cannot be attempted or cannot be won or cannot be successfully done in the first attempt. First attempt is as good as the second attempt. Second attempt is as good as the third attempt. Whenever you are ready for Missouri. How to simplify and read editorials, because many times they just go above the head. Editorials must be understood, my friends, in terms of context. This is called as approach of multidisciplinary approach. Whatever you read in the news editorials, watch them on television also. Talk to people also. Read it from Hindu also, read it from a magazine also, discuss it with your faculty also, discuss it with your seniors also. The same thing can be understood in different concepts, the same thing can be understood in different languages. You can simplify it. One of the editorials will use technical language with regards to this. The news reader will give a simpler language to it. The faculty will give you a subject language to it, and ultimately you will understand the real essence of it. So don't stick to one source only. Make sure that you study the same topic from different sources. You can read it from book, you can read from magazines, you can read it from newsreader. Please don't misunderstand. But when a news reader says the same news, he says it for the layman. Okay, it is not having a technical language. Once you understand that one, then of course you will be able to make the sense out of a news editorial. Another question is how to keep up with emotional intelligence, as it has a big role to play in the preparation and afterward. Emotional intelligence, emotion has been described in a very beautiful way. Emotion is energy in motion. Okay, that's what is the definition of emotion. So if you are not having the strength to, for example, say that I'm going to ignore a particular chapter in polity, even if I know that this is going to be asked in the exam, I have the guts to leave that topic since it has a very low risk reward ratio. I hope you are understanding this takes guts, this takes emotion. You are answerable only to one person, and that is you yourself. If you don't have this emotional intelligence today, you will be a very, very pathetic and a very, very weak bureaucrat. You will be a very, very pathetic and a very, very weak human being. You have to have emotional intelligence. Please remember, civil services examination is not an academic exam. It checks your physical, it checks your mental, and it checks your emotional stamina all at the same time. That is why probably it is considered as a tough exam. Why? Because it checks you as a human being. So you have to have that emotional intelligence. You have to say no to a person who apparently behaves as your friend, but he wants you to waste your time. This time you should have the ability to say no to such a person who calls himself your friend. This is one part of emotional intelligence without which you cannot make it through in this exam. So, what are the things you know as a mentor that most aspirants wouldn't know but should know? I realized this long time back as a mentor that most students go wrong in is they try to gulp in everything. They try to remember everything and they think it is an unlimited syllabus. It is not an unlimited syllabus. Why? Because UPSC is not looking for, please remember, UPSC is not looking for PhD. UPSC is not looking for geniuses. All they want from you is that you are going to be the future decision makers of this country. So you have to learn the underlying essence of a subject. First, try and understand the subject. The facts and the figures can come later. Most people forget it. So please remember, this is not your school, this is not your college, this is not graduation, and this is not post graduation. So it is not like you have done BSc, then you have done MSc, and then you have done UPSC. It's not like that. Okay. So BSc, MSc, goodbye, you've done that. Enough. UPSC is a different exam. So you have to first understand the requirement of this exam. Like in the words of Sri Krishna himself, first know your enemy. First, you have to know the enemy. What is this exam all about? First, try and understand the essence of the subject. Facts and figures you can gulp in anytime. What do you think is the difference between toppers and those who can't make it to the list? A topper will maintain stamina and a balance in his life till the last day. There is no desperation in a topper. A topper will only study which will give him reward according to the efforts put. A topper will never, never lose his sleep, never lose his stamina, never become desperate to try and do everything under the sun. And till the last moment, there will be a balanced smile on his face. This is how you differentiate between a topper and so-called a struggler in civil services examination. So these were all the questions that were addressed to me by the IAS aspirants like you. In case any other doubt is remaining and in the course of journey you want to ask me something, please reach out to me on the Unacademy channel or on my Facebook account. Or alongside, I should also say that since the UPSC Civil Services Examination mains results have been out, if any one of you has unfortunately not made it through, don't worry. We are by your side and we will ensure that we give you the best of teaching so that by the next year or the next attempt, you would be living your dream of becoming a bureaucrat. So, subscribe to our channel. All the best. Thank you.